What's happening? What's happening? All right, guys, welcome back to another session here, live at 5. Let's get going here. Like and share on your social media if you would. Always helps out the algorithm if you have a Facebook, although if you put it on your Facebook, they're not going to show it very much. Facebook blocks out YouTube, but we're streaming live here on Facebook and on YouTube, of course. Today's show, as y'all know, we do live at 5s on Sundays, and we'll be doing them on the upcoming Great Loop. And for those that are new to the channel, in 2024, in April, I'm working on the project boat now, and we'll be starting back the Great Loop. And these live at 5s are pretty good. During that time, we'll have a lot to talk about. We'll talk about what happened that day and any good stuff. Keep putting this out there for anyone that has a engine or boat problems. Shoot me an email to mike@michaeljsteen.com. We want to get this section going on Tech Tuesday, and if you have a problem, we'll help you to try to solve it. Matter of fact, we got our one of our techs here, trailer tech, as well as diesel tech. We'll introduce him here in just a second. Well, actually, here we're there. We have a trailer expert. He has his own business. He's been a long time follower of the channel, and he's going to kind of give some guidance. Y'all know we're working on the trailer, getting ready to. And this is Tony Scott. We call him the SME, or subject matter expert. And we're starting to think about the trailer. You know, obviously I ain't to that yet, but I want to kind of get ahead of the curve. So I thought it was a good time to bring Tony on. Tony, how you doing?
Good. You guys? It's good. Good to be here.
Yeah. Where are you from? Where are you broadcasting from?
I'm out of Kingman, Arizona, way out here on the West Coast in the middle of the desert.
All right. What kind of temperatures you working with out there?
Today it's about 50. We live in the desert, but we're pretty, there's a lot of water here. We do a lot of boat trailers here. So we've got the whole Colorado River system right below us here. Okay.
All right. All right. Good deal. Well, we're going to go through a bunch of lists here, guys. Tony's going to talk about some different things, but first let me do a little commercial video. As y'all know, good times is a state of mind. That's what's on the mug. If any of y'all are Mug Club members, and I know that several are, we'll be starting back on this in January. And this is a list of things that you get as a Mug Club member. You get first look at videos, Mug Club only live streams. You'll be able to track us. We have an app that you'll be able to track us for live, you know, wherever we are on the Great Loop. Content for Mug Club only. Yeah, I think y'all remember last week I showed the little video that the Mug Club members knew way back before the video about dropping the engine through the boat. Stuff like that. You're the first to know about all major events, meetups, stops, etc. 10% off merchandise, and you're supporting a lifelong dream. So y'all know I've been planning this for many years, and we're finally getting to it. All right, let's see. Okay, this I'm showing this each time, the Good Times Restoration schedule, and as of December the 1st, and boy, am I pushing it now, is completion of the engine install and running. Gas tank, we'll just talk about the first one, but you can see the other ones. Gas tank removal and new install. I can tell you I won't have it installed. I'll run off a temporary gas because it takes a guy a couple of weeks, but that's coming out this week. Engine compartment clean and painted, and upgrades. And that's actually this week as well. So we'll jump right on through that. Here's a picture. You see the old engine is on the left, and there's the new engine there. Already started working on it. Now I want to show you some parts we got in. You see that new water pump there, and alternator and starter. I'll tell you, I didn't take a picture of it, but I'll tell you a quick story. The timing chain cover, I ordered not one, not two, but 3 timing chain covers. So far, 2 of them don't fit. I went to Napa to pick up one. It doesn't fit. So I finally got fed up and said, I'm going to pull off the old timing chain cover and use it. I pulled it off, started sandblasting it, and I happened to hold it up in the light, and it's got pinholes in it, so I can't use it. So the funny thing is, two of the places, both at Napa and Amazon, they match numbers as far as the part number, but they are clearly wrong. I'll go through that actually in a whole different video because I've been ordering stuff for a long time and hadn't run into that problem. All right, Tony, we're gonna go through. I'm gonna show a couple pictures to the guys and gals here. This is a picture of kind of looking at the back there. You see the trailer looks real solid. We'll probably do an update segment once I get it back off of the trailer, which it won't be too long, and we'll start breaking it down. Hey, look at this picture on your right. This trailer, look at the stripes on the trailer and look at the stripes on the boat. It's identical. See that? So that tells me that must have been the trailer that came with that boat, the stunt boat that I bought. See, there's a better picture of it. Look at the stripes. See that screen? The picture on the right is just a picture of the tongue. And so that's what I'm working with. But other than you can see, it's in pretty good shape. Tony, we're going to go through. Let's go through the list of parts and you can point them out. Just kind of talk about them. And guys, when y'all have questions, throw them up there in the comments. And we'll go from there. Let's see. All right. This Tony, what we seeing here?
Those that's base. I just threw some parts up. Those are basically boat trailers. Either you have a disc brake set up on them, or they have a drum brake set up on them. The picture.
Hold up a second. We made them. I didn't introduce you as far as. Tell us about your background a little bit.
All right. My name is Tony Scott. 55 years old. I spent 10 years in the United States Navy. They got a master diesel certificate out of that. So I've worked on a lot of marine stuff out there. Even after the military, I did a lot of marine stuff. Decided to move back home. I'm originally from Wyoming, moved back home for a couple of years. And then I moved to Arizona and bought a business here in Arizona that was already established. And it's basically my retirement system, and I was like, going to do this, retire. I'm ready to retire from this business and buy a boat and travel the world. So that's the plans going forward. I dabbled in, I was a firefighter for 15 years when I went back to Wyoming after the military. In the military, you're a firefighter. So when I got out of the military, it was common just to go right back into firefighting. So did that. And that's pretty much me. I've been doing this for a long time.
So currently you own a business and people coming to you every day. And these pictures are actually things you told me that you have a little showroom. So the first thing you do is go out there and educate them and find out what they do have.
Yeah, this is pretty much the office here. It's got showroom or parts you just buy right off the shelf. All the stuff you just buy right off the shelf here. I do hitches. I do hitch installs, anything towing, and then anything trailer, from boat trailers to car trailers, mobile home or camper trailers, big fifth wheel trailers, semi trailers. I mean, air brakes, hydraulic brakes, electric brakes. We do it all. So I'm a one-man show. I do it all on my own.
While I'm thinking about it, can we put your phone number in the comments if someone wants to reach out to you? All right, hang on one second. Guys, if you want to reach out to Tony, if y'all in that area. Tony, I don't think you ship though, do you? Do you ship parts? Some stuff we can ship out. And I'll ship it direct from warehouses such as Lippert or Dexter. We try to keep everything American as possible. I'm kind of an ass about that, I guess. I fought for this country. We need to take care of it. So I try to do it as much as we can in the United States. So amen, brother. Hey, what's the phone number?
928 757
757
3020.
And I have during the replay. Guys, if you are watching this on the replay, well,
They have a website, rrhitches.com, too.
okay, let me put that rrhitches.com. For some reason, guys, this didn't show up on YouTube. I hope we're still online. It did on Facebook. Nope, yet. Okay, let's see. I gotta retype that. Let's see. On rrhitchesshowedup.com on that both showed up. Let me retry this. It didn't send it out, guys, on YouTube. Almost like we were off there for a second. I'm gonna try it again.
Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5 Arizona time.
Okay. It's not going through for some reason. Wow, I ain't never had that happen. All right, so we've talked about the pictures here. There you go. Thank you, Ken. Appreciate you, brother. He puts your website right up there. Ken, how about pin this number? For some reason, it's pretty crazy. It's not letting me have it. Get ready to write this number down. Each time I do it, it knocks it off. It let me show it on his name there for a second, but name is Tony 928-757-3020. Ken, if you don't mind putting that up there, I appreciate you. I don't know why it's doing that. That's strange. I've never had it do that. But anyways, all right, Tony. Now these pictures, what are we looking at?
Basically, there you're looking at the difference between a 10-inch electric brake on the left side and a hydraulic brake on the right side.
All right.
On the electric brake, if you guys are running electric trailers, you see the magnet there on the far left side. These things are they're set sideways. The magnet should be at the bottom, or the little spool thing on the other one should be at the bottom, but on the magnet, you got 4 holes around that. You see the 4 holes around there? Those are the wear holes. I get a lot of customers asking me, how do I know when my brakes are wear out? How do I know? How do I know? Those are the wear holes, just like on tires and everything else. If those holes are missing, it's time to replace that magnet. And then, of course, the shoe thickness and stuff. The shoes aren't very thick. Again, trailer brakes are an assist. They're not for braking the vehicle too. They're an assist to help the vehicle. And then the hydraulic one on the right-hand side, hydraulic drum, biggest maintenance thing on that is once a year, brake fluid is a huge magnet for water. And you guys are running these trailers down the road. They're getting hot. Some of us are in 100-degree temperatures. Some of us live on mountain roads and getting down to the lake and stuff. You build up that heat in those brakes, and then you douse it in that cold water. Instantly turns to steam and builds condensation in your brake lines. Once a year, flush those brake lines, or after 4 or 5 years, you're going to have problems, things rusting up and freezing. That's either in salt water or fresh water. It doesn't matter.
Okay, good deal. All right. What are we looking at here?
That there, I get customers asking me bearings. They'll bring a bearing into me and go, hey, Tony, is this bearing bad? The best way to tell if a bearing's bad is look at the race. These are the races. A bearing has an inner race and an outer race. You can't see the inner race because the bearing is caged and the bearings ride on the inner race, but these are the outer races that are down in the hub. If you clean those out, and you can see the little rust lines on them right there, that is rust. It's basically just like a pothole going down the highway. Every time somebody drives over that pothole, they get bigger and bigger and bigger. So the rust starts, and the best way to notice that is to look at the race. Those things should be shiny and smooth. The one on the far right's discolored. That one's got a lot of heat in it. It goes back to bad grease. Basically, when they start heating up like that, it's bad grease. The other ones are just, I'm showing you rust pits that are in the races. That's what you look for. Don't worry about looking at the bearing. Look at this. The race is going to tell the story to it all.
Makes sense. Yeah. Okay. And
And
this
then,
ultra red there, I guess you like?
yeah, this stuff's made in the United States. It's actually made in Nebraska. It's made by a company named Schaefer's. The number one cause of bearing failure, everybody's like, bearings are made in 2 countries, all bearings, Timken, all of them. They're only made in 2 countries, China or India. They're not made anywhere else for trailer bearings. Now, Europe builds, England builds some really fine bearings and stuff, but usually that's in like big transmissions on big ships and stuff like that. But trailer bearings, China or India. That's the only 2 places that build bearings. The number one cause of bearing failure is grease, servicing and grease. With you guys with boat trailers, even if you don't have a boat trailer, this grease here is designed for trailers. Trailer bearings run inherently loose. So you need some kind of shock absorber in that bearing to keep the bearing alive, because they get beat to death going down the highway. So this grease is a paraffin-based grease. 2 types or 3 types of greases out there. You got paraffin base, which is wax. You got a synthetic grease, which is man-made, and then you have dead dinosaurs, a mineral-based grease. This stuff here, this 229, is a paraffin-based grease. Paraffin doesn't mix with water. You can't mix wax and water. As you see, it says on there, it's waterproof. That's what you guys want to be using in your boat trailers, a waterproof grease. Otherwise, what happens is the grease and the water mix, and it turns into that gray or that milky looking stuff. That's what causes grease to go away real fast. Grease has a lifespan. A good grease, really good grease, like this one here, usually has 7 to 8 heat cycles. That's maximum temperature to maximum cool off. Out here in Arizona, the trailer doesn't even have to move, and in 1 year, it'll burn through all the heat cycles and the grease goes bad. So
wow. So you saying basically, ideally, you'd probably be repacking once a year. Is that right? Am I assuming that right?
Out here in Arizona, yes. And with boat trailers, I recommend it highly once a year too. With a boat trailer, even if you're using this waterproof grease, you're putting that trailer in the water and taking it out. You can't stop water from getting in those drums, or those hubs, especially when the hub's hot. You dip it in the water, that water gets sucked through and makes condensation. Water may not get in there from the lake or the ocean, but it makes condensation. So water is going to be in there. And so what this does is it keeps the grease stays grease. It doesn't turn into that milky stuff. So when grease goes bad, there's like a mineral base and synthetics go bad the same way. Paraffin grease goes bad another way. So when mineral grease and synthetic greases go bad, they start flinging out all over your wheel. That's telling you the grease is done. It's expired. You should have redid it before then. A paraffin grease, when it goes bad, it'll get hard. So if you've ever looked at a lot of old trailers out there, they used to use a lot of paraffin in to make greases, and that grease will kind of get hard and clumpy on the inside of the wheel and stuff. That's a good sign of it's a paraffin grease. Mineral bases and synthetics, they'll start throwing it all over your wheels and all that.
Wow. I know what you're talking about, but I see that right after I hear the rumble and the tires about to come off from the side.
That's usually what happens.
Out of the road.
So both trailers, I got several. Actually, I got like a dozen professional bass fishermen, believe it or not, here in Kingman, Arizona, and they travel all over the United States, a lot of them. And some of them I got on 4 and 6 month intervals to change their wheel bearings, because they're traveling back east to you guys doing the bass fishing tournaments out there. So I'll have them changing that out, every 6 months instead of a year. And then the other guys at the end of the season, when you're done using your boat and you're not going to put it back in, that's the best time to do that. Otherwise, you're going to start getting rust on your bearings and your races, like what's in that picture there. That's real important. At this end of the season, you're done using it. Repack the wheel bearings, then let the grease go all winter or whenever you guys are getting ready to go back in, and then you're ready to go for another season. Don't let that water sit in there.
That's great. That's a great takeaway. So in Florida, how the normal use, what can we push it out to?
In Florida with your high humidities and stuff like that, I would do once a year. I wouldn't mess. I mean, how often do you change the bottom end drive in your engines or your out drives and stuff? I mean,
yeah,
it's the same maintenance. You're doing the same stuff. You're changing the oil, the gear oils in your engines or your engine oil and stuff like that. Okay. You service your boat once a year, probably. Your engine's on your boat more than likely. That's the best time to service your trailer bearings.
Well, that's a good thing you said that. I think I'm probably not the only one that I didn't really realize that. I guess I did reach down there and touch it and see if it's hot. And if it ain't hot, then I assume it's all right. But, that's why I've been on the side of the road a couple times.
When it gets hot, it's too late.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Why do we even teach that? Like, because basically what you're saying, that's a flawed thing there. Goodness gracious. All right, and so I guess these what do you call these? That they go with the U-bolts, I guess just the nuts.
Yeah, these are links and bolts for your suspension. So basically there's some worn ones. The one on the left-hand side, the real black one there, it's got the knurls up on the end. That's a brand new one, and that's a brand new nut. Usually they have a lock nut on them so they don't back off. And then the top link is a brand new one, and then you can see the other links and the other bolts, those are wore out. So when you're doing your bearing maintenance, you're right there. You can look at those and you can actually see the worn in them if they're worn. And again, this is under normal wear right here. This will probably happen depends on how much you tow. It could happen every 2 years, or it could happen 10 years. It just depends on how much you use your trailer.
All right, Jeffrey's got a question there. And I think we come to the bearing buddies in a minute, don't we? So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that.
Bearing buddies. That's a fun one.
Yeah. Here we go. What we got here?
There we got equalizers on the left-hand side. That's the links if you have a double axle. That's the link in between your front and rear springs. That's what they call an equalizer. You can see the egg-shaped holes and stuff there. These are all displays I have on my counter when customers come in and they want to talk about stuff, and I can show them stuff to look at. But these are some wearing stuff. Another thing to look at, there's bushings in there, little Teflon bushings. You can replace those if as long as you don't have no egging out stuff like these. If they're egged out, they're new. You get new. They're pretty inexpensive, anywhere from $15 to $24, depending on which one you need. And there's many different other types out there. I tied you guys out there in Florida with your boat trailers. You probably see a lot of tie down stuff, a lot of Kodiak stuff. There's a lot of different brands out there, but this is the standard Lippert Dexter stuff. So it's
all right.
And then the picture on the right's a U-bolt.
Yep.
U-bolts, if you ever have to replace an axle or anything, replacing axles or anything like that, always replace the U-bolts. They're only good for one use. You torque them, they stretch the threads on them, and that's it. If you reuse it, you're going to have problems down the road.
Okay. So here we are at the bearing buddies, but tell us what we're looking at. Okay,
so here's you had a customer, or you had a gentleman here asking about buddy bearings. Here's the story with buddy bearings. Okay, now I do this a lot. Okay, and I get some people that listen to me and believe me, and this is my own professional opinion, and I think I'm right, but this is the world we live in. So the end up there is a spindle that I cut off of a a trailer axle. I can never get one to show the other way that I'm going to explain second here. But the first one, the upper left picture is basically a 3,500 pound spindle. Pretty much all you guys' boat trailers and stuff have this type of spindle. It's got a grease circ on the end of the spindle. I don't know if you can hardly see it there, but there's a grease circ there. And that's called an AccuLube axle. Lippert and Dexter do a lot of these. So what happens is they put a grease circ on the end of it. They drill the hole completely through the spindle, and see that little bitty hole. I got my pin touching it right there next to that bearing, and up in the upper one, you can see the hole. So you put grease in there, and the grease comes out at that end of the spindle there. So bearings are tapered, okay? And when you repack your wheel bearings, the grease is in the center of the hub, okay? Bearings are tapered, so there's out. So what happens is, as you go down the road and grease gets used up, the bearing's designed to suck grease through it and push outward, going uphill. It pushes it out. So the dirty grease is going out. And then what happens, you use that AccuLube axle and you put grease in, it comes out on that zerk there, and it pushes that dirty grease right back into the bearing, which then destroys the bearing because you're putting dirty grease, the grease that's used up, back into your bearings. That's not wise. If you're using a paraffin-based grease, usually when the grease goes bad, it gets hard instead of like the other ones. Remember what I was saying? It'll get hard. So what happens is it goes the least path of resistance. Every time you push on that, it pushes grease right out your seal. Then you get all that grease on the inside of your wheel. I know you guys have seen it.
Yeah.
all that grease. You're just pumping grease through that thing, and it's not even getting into your bearings. Now think of it this way. If these things are designed to keep axle manufacturers and bearing manufacturers in business, this is the truth, man. If they were to do it correctly and to save money, why didn't they just drill that hole through that center of that spindle and make it come out in the center of the spindle where the good grease needs to be?
Yeah, for real.
Correct?
Yeah.
That makes sense. But oh no, they want you to push your dirty grease right back in there, and you're thinking you're doing something good, but in reality, you're hurting your bearings and your seals. With the buddy bearing, the upper right hand picture, the buddy bearing does the exact same thing except opposite. So what happens is, on the grease circ one, on the upper right hand corner, you see where the race of the bearing sits. See how burnt that is? Yeah. That's from that dirty grease getting in there. On a buddy bearing, what happens is it'll burn that front race right behind the threads there. Yeah. That's where it'll get burnt, and the back one will be good. So buddy bearing, I'm not a big fan of buddy bearings. They do not keep water out. There's a hole. There's two holes in a buddy bearing, and if you've ever pulled one of those apart, there's no rubber seals in it. It's just metal on metal. They don't keep water out or nothing. If you pack your wheel bearings correctly, that's enough grease. It'll last a season. There's no need in pumping dirty grease, pushing it right back into your bearings.
Wow, that's good stuff. Honestly, I'm probably like the average. I guess I waited till they failed.
Yeah, or just keep pumping grease in it. It'll go. I go another 100 miles, just pump grease in it.
Yeah. Aluminum wheels, Bruce says, especially new, need to be retorqued several times and set them. I guess he's had a recent deal with that. Yes, on aluminum wheels, basically, that's even with steel wheels. If you put a new hub or drum on and you new lug nuts and everything, and you put a wheel on there, within 50 to 100 miles, you would have to retorque those. On aluminum wheel, depending on your studs, depends on the torque too. I know aluminum wheels are quite a bit like in the 120 foot-pounds area versus a steel wheel at around 90, somewhere around there. So aluminum wheels are at a higher torque than a steel wheel. So if he's torquing an aluminum wheel, what should be a steel wheel, then you're going to have loose wheels. It's going to happen. All right. That brings us to the Good Times trailer. we talked, Tony and I obviously talked off camera before, and we'll talk about what his recommends are. So maybe some of you will be doing this in the future. And Tony, what do we recommend for, I'm going to trailer the boat to Chesapeake and then put it in the water there. And if it all goes well, I'll drive it straight back to Florida if everything goes well. But so let's talk about what do you recommend, which I guess would be the average guy that buys a used trailer. And what do you recommend that I should do to avoid trouble?
Okay. I seen John here had a question on torsion suspension. John, there's really no maintenance on a torsion axle. That's the best trailer suspension known to man. It's the best stuff out there, and there's really no maintenance on them, and they last for years and years and years. The number one maintenance thing is wheel bearings. Pack those wheel bearings, because right now torsion axles, to get a torsion axle is 4 months, 3 to 4 months right now. The Dexter plant in Oklahoma, here a few months ago, a tornado took out half the plant, and that half of the plant was the torsion side of it and the 10K and up axles. So maintenance on those torsion axles. That's the best trailer axle out there.
All right. I guess that's, is that what would be like just on the standard, like box trailer tandem axle?
No, boat trailers. There's a lot of trailers out there. There's all kinds of trailers out there with torsion axles. A torsion axle is an axle without springs. There's no spring underneath of it, and so it works off the torsion. Say like the front suspension on your Chevy pickup. It's the same. It has a torsion bar in there, but it does it all off rubber, really high-end rubber that's in there, and it torsion axles. If you're getting a custom trailer built, do torsion. They pull so much nicer. You don't even know the trailer's back there.
Okay. All right. So let's get back to good. I'm glad you caught that. What do you recommend then on the Good Times trailer?
Good Times trailer, if you traveling the way you are, I mean, it's going to be the same thing, Mike. Get that thing serviced up. You take off on your trip, put that thing in the water. You're going to go pick it up somewhere, bring it back to Florida, and do your maintenance on your boat. Do the maintenance on your trailer. You'll be totally fine.
All right. So what you're saying is replacing, just go through, pull, replace all the bearings, and of course inspect the hub and see that it's not worn or obviously any damage to it.
Yeah, any damage to that. And when you replace the bearings, always replace the race inside the hub. Don't put new bearing in that old race, because that old race is mated to the old bearing. So you want to put new races, buy a bearing and race kit for that. And yeah, service it really good, hand pack it up, and then go on your trip. And then when you come back, do the maintenance on your boat, and then do the maintenance on your trailer too. I mean, it takes 15 minutes to do one side. I mean, it takes no time at all. And then that's going to, like for your next trip, that's going to give you a telltale. Okay, this is what I did this time. Can I go, because you guys are back east, you don't run the temperatures like out here for the grease. And if you use that grease there, you may be able to go 2 years instead of every year. But again, you're going to have to see what it is. You're traveling a lot down the road, so whatever water got into those hubs, the wheel is going to heat up, and the hubs are going to heat up enough to evaporate that moisture that's in that hub. So I would just definitely do the maintenance when you got back to Florida for the next winter.
All right, 2 questions. What type of bearings would you recommend for us? What type of bearings would you recommend?
Again, bearings, they're all, like I said, they're all made in China or they're made in India. There's no, even if you're buying Timken, you're just spending more money than you don't need to. It's not the bearing, it's the grease. The bearings are all the same. They're all made out of the same material. They're everything's the same. Everybody just puts their own little stamp on them, is all it is. It's just like trailer lights, you know, your lights, all the lights that are on trailers and stuff.
Yeah.
They're all made in China. There's 3 factories in China that make all the lights out there. Peterson, Westbar, all these light manufacturers. It's all from 3 manufacturers in China. That's it. So Westbar says they want their light to be like this and stamped like this. That's the way it is. Same with trailer bearings. So the number one thing on trailer bearings is grease. Grease is the number one thing. Do a paraffin-based grease. That grease that I showed you there, that Schaefer's 229, that's a really good grease. It's made for trailer bearings. It's a paraffin base. It's got moly in it for the slickness, and it runs about 15 degrees cooler than any other grease out there that I've tried. Lucas, I've done them all. I've tested them all. That Schaefer's grease, that 229 is the stuff. You can get it on Amazon. I mean, it's out there everywhere. It's made in the United States.
Sorry, let me ask you the question about sizes of bearings. It seems like I've bought bearings that didn't fit, but I'm assuming that they're basically roughly the same size. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So basically in 1985, the trailer world, the trailer industry called it quits on everything. And so nowadays everything is done by, 1,000 pound, 2,000, 3,500, 5,200, 7,000, 72, 8, all the way to 90,000 pounds. So most boat trailers out there, you say you got a boat 22 foot and below, you're probably running 3,500 pound axles. Those bearings are going to be all the same. The only thing with the trailer bearings, some of these manufacturers out there like to put on boat trailers, they'll put a different inner race in them. The big race is going to be different. They've got a LM 110s and 111s. So that's the biggest thing, is watch that on the bearing. The bearing's exactly the same, but the race is different. So if you go get trailer bearings, pop that race out, and the back of the number would be a LM 68 110 or a LM 68 111. That's the only differences on the 3,500 pound stuff. The 5,200 pound stuff, they're all the same. 7K, they're all the same. Everything's all standardized. You just need to know what axle size you got.
Okay, that brings up a question here. Bruce is asking, do you have brakes on both axles? Actually, no. There's no. Even though that y'all seen the picture of the trailer, and let me bring that back up for a second for those that are coming in late. It had what looks like surge brakes. You see that? Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. Yeah, it looks like it has surge brakes there, but that is not working. When I changed the stunt boat off and put Good Times on, when I had it off the trailer, the wires just come up and go nowhere, or the what is it, copper or whatever it is made out of, it just came up, and obviously you could tell it didn't work. And then when I'm studying it, and I'll have to do some more studying now that we've learned a little bit more. I think it's a different hub, I believe, but I'll have to relook at that.
Yeah, it looks like there's 2 different hubs there.
Okay. Well, I'll take y'all through it, and we'll also be talking with him on what to get, and we'll go through it and see what we'll end up. Obviously, I'll do a video about it, and maybe when we do the video, you'll come back on and we'll talk about it. Ken, that's the truth. We need to get this stuff manufactured. Well, when something happens, you see how much we're reliant on these other places. Yes, sir, Sterling. He does know his stuff.
Yeah, Bruce asked a question. Yeah, the temperature gun works good on that. Temperatures on a bearing. On a say an idler hub, not a brake hub, an idler hub, you're going to run temperatures usually whatever ambient temperature is plus or minus 20 degrees on that. On a brake hub, you're going to run, that could be why the thing, if you're getting off the interstate and you go back there and check it and it's like this thing's really hot, well, brakes work off heat. The more heat you could put into a brake, the better that brake's going to work. So you got to be careful watching that. But if you're seeing temperatures right after you get off the thing, I'd let it cool down before you check that. And again, you're going to want, if you're under 250 degrees, you should be good. I've never seen bearings that hot unless you're really on the brakes that hard. But
okay, back to good times. And you recommend obviously I need to inspect it, but bearings all the way around, and then talk to me about brakes. Is that a necessity on this? I know there's a lot of what you're doing with the boat trailer, but talk to me about that.
So brakes depend on, number one, state law, the law, the federal government, how they rule us. But the brakes, that depends on some states like Arizona. I think it's 1,500 pounds. Any trailer that weighs over 1,500 pounds has to have at least one axle worth of brakes. So that would be, that's going to determine on the state law that you're at. I've never seen, and I know a lot of the cops, I got a lot of cop friends, no one's pulling anybody over checking brakes. Yeah. The only time it's going to get you in trouble is if you have an accident, and then the insurance companies get involved. So if you got say, how big a truck do you got and how big a boat do you got? Adjust towing speeds as per. If you don't have brakes on it, you then slow down and take your time, and you don't get in that need to where you need to get onto the brakes.
Well, that'd be foolish anyways. And I put up a post, don't run any faster than you care to run into something. That definitely, is used in boating, but obviously pulling trailers. I got to tell you, when I pulled the trailer with that 21 stump boat on it, man, it stopped. Like, I came up 27 intentionally because there wasn't a lot of traffic because I didn't know the trailer, but I had absolutely no problem stopping the boat. Like, it just, there was no issues there. Now I know, get up in some heavy traffic areas, but so I'll have to make that determination. I am spending a lot of money on this boat, as y'all can imagine, which I'm going to do a little live about that, break down some what I'm putting in mine. But I don't know yet whether I'm going to put brakes or not. Let's see.
Yeah, you could spend a lot of money on brake systems. I mean, like that picture on the right-hand side there, that coupler's $300 right there. Just that Atwood coupler right there, or that's a Titan. You're 289 for that, somewhere around there, 250, 289. Probably buying them on Amazon a little cheaper. The biggest thing with hydraulic brakes, replace that brake fluid every year, because that brake fluid, when it gets hot, it turns into a huge magnet for water, and just the heat builds condensation, and that's what gets in there. Flush those brakes out. And that's another thing you can check on your tow vehicle too. Check the brake fluid. That brake fluid should not be black or dark color. Brake fluid is a light color. So if you have a dark colored fluid in your brake reservoir, it's time to flush that out and get new brake fluid in.
All right, we're going to be landing the plane here shortly, but John, wouldn't it be better invest in matching hubs on a used trailer? What do you think about that?
Not necessarily. A hub's a hub. I mean, as long as you got the right bolt pattern, as long as they're the same bolt patterns and they got the same bearings in them, that's the biggest thing is matching bearings and seals. So then when you do break, or if you need parts, it's easy to get parts for. The only time I would say not to do that would be if you're doing maintenance on it and then it's got like two different seals in it. Some trailer, especially boat trailer, I don't know what it is with boat trailers, but they're UMP. There's a lot of companies out there, and they mess with the size of the spindles on their axles. A lot of those boat trailers, with with the big V hulls and stuff and their bent axles. They kind of look goofy underneath. They'll they'll do like their own seal, you know, that Bass Tracker is the worst about it. I hate messing with Bass Tracker boat trailers. They're just, that brand, they like doing their own little thing so that you can't get parts unless you go to Cabela's or a Bass Tracker dealer. So I have a lot of customers that have changed stuff just to get away from that because it's a pain in the butt.
Okay, and that brings up an excellent point. Those of us that are moving our boats around, you know, if I'm just running over to the beach, you know, 60 miles away, that's nothing, because even if I had a breakdown, I can run back to the shop and get stuff, whatever. So, but it's important that we choose the right stuff, especially if I'm going to be, you know, hundreds of miles away, and is it easy to get? That's why I do a lot of things. When we're talking about the Great Loop on the boat, of course, the trailer is just getting me to a start point, but I definitely don't want to, if I did have a breakdown, I don't want to be subject to somebody on the side of the road. And what do you recommend on like the total hub setup? That's what my plan was, like up there under that tire, put some kind of hub set up that can be secured in the event I have a breakdown, or do you think that's not necessarily?
No, that's a good safety plan. My guys that bass fish, they actually have a spare hub. It's just an idler hub. You don't need to, you know, say if you have a drum, you got a brake problem and you have a drum issue there, you can pull that drum off and you can leave the backing plate on to just stick the idler hub on there and get you going down the road. But yeah, no, it's a good safety thing, and they're not that expensive in the 3,500 pound area. It's not too bad.
Yeah, that is something I can always do at the end. You know, if we hook the brakes back up, honestly, that'll only be towards the end.
Yeah,
more money on the boat. My buddy Ajax, y'all seen a bunch of videos. He's got, how important are the dates on tires?
It depends on the tire. The tires are made all over the place. Probably you guys back there with a lot of moisture and stuff in the air, you're fine. But out here, a set of trailer tires last 2-3 years. The sun, the UV rays just destroy tires out here. You guys back east with the more humidity and moisture, you know, you could run tires quite a long thing. If you got tires like probably over 5-6 years a date, I would start watching them. You can tell. Basically jack the trailer up and spin the wheel and make sure the tire runs smooth and it doesn't have bumps. You know, if the tire's going, if you watch that tire doing little bump things, that means you're starting to separate belts in the tire, and it would be recommended. Or you start feeling it in your truck. You can feel the hopping sometimes, especially on suspension trailer, spring trailers. On torsion trailers, it's hard to feel them because they pull so nice, but spring trailers, you can really feel it. If you got a tire starting to lose a belt, you can actually feel it.
And I know I've had that happen, and because it was a newer trailer, it wasn't a month later, the same thing happened on another tire. So it must have been those tires were done at the same time. I know my buddy Jack asked that question because he didn't know, and I didn't know until he told me that there was dates on tires. I've never seen it, and he bought a boat, and I think I remember the guy, he spent extra money or whatever to make sure he was towing it. But so it's a lot of people don't even know that there's a date on the tire.
Speaking of tire, one thing I wanted to bring up, because you guys back there, you know, I remember I was stationed in Charleston and South Carolina, and I lived in Jacksonville or Middleburg, Florida and stuff. So back there when I got out of the military working on boats, when boat trailers, I see it out here once in a while too, because people move from Florida or out there and they come out here to Arizona. And this is where I see it on boat trailers. It's kind of they build 3 different type trailers in boat trailers. You have a road trailer, which is the trailer you have there, Mike. That's a road trailer, a highway trailer. And then you got what they call a lake trailer. Let's say if you live in Michigan or Florida, where you got lots of water everywhere, and you're only pulling, like you said, 20 miles, 10 miles to the lake, 5 miles to the lake, back and forth to the lake. It's a lighter duty trailer. And then they got trailers, what they call dinghy trailers. And that's basically you're right there at your marina or whatever, and they pull the boat out and store it. And then they pull it back out and put it back in. It never leaves that parking lot or that marina, those dinghy trailers. And I get a lot of those dinghy trailers out here with pontoon boats. I don't know why it's pontoon boats, but they come from Michigan, Indiana, Florida, Alabama, where there's water everywhere. And that dinghy trailer is a cheap trailer, and you go to Cabela's, you could see that too. Even here, the one in Las Vegas, I can walk through and look at the trailers, and that's a lake trailer. That's a highway trailer. The highway trailers are usually built more substantially, like the trailer you have there. That's a highway trailer.
That's good to know. Sterling says AAA with a towing trailer endorsement. Absolutely. I always had tow insurance on my boats. So yeah, because I'm gonna be moving this around, I'll certainly add that because I think they got it. I get it through Boat US, but I think that they have that endorsement. And we're coming down to the end, about 5 minutes here. Let's see, Bruce, having a complete pre-grease hub for the road is a great idea. Yeah, I think that's what I'll end up doing as far as, man, if I had a problem. I actually carry everything in my toolbox. I'm kind of like a race team. I see people that broke down because I have trailers I pull between my work trailer and all that. I got a nice floor jack in my truck, impact and everything, and I'll pull over and help people. Of course, you help others, it'll be returned to you. But if I had the full hub and have a breakdown, then that'll be a no-brainer. I mean, that'll be an easy fix. So that's interesting. So let's see, anything else there you want to? Tony's going to help out a little bit, sponsor on the trailer. So I want to put his name back out there. He's R&R Hitches. Is that right? If I'm saying it right, Tony?
Yep, it's rrhitches.com.
Yep, rrhitches.com. For some reason, it won't let me put your phone number on YouTube. That's great. Or
just call me if you guys need help or something. Just call me out. I'm more. I try to help everybody. It sucks that these bearing and axle manufacturers just rape us for parts, and it just comes down to maintenance, and people don't know. They don't know. There's a grease zerk there, we need to grease that. They don't know that it needs it needs to be serviced and stuff. So
well, the best thing I think I learned is didn't know it, and I've been boating for as long as I can remember. I honestly just pretty much greased them. Again, now I live local, but I greased them, definitely not yearly, just whenever I had a reason to think it was going. And oftentimes that meant a breakdown on the side of the road.
Yeah, if you do it once a year, you should never have to touch those grease. I would never touch those grease zerks. I built a trailer for my race truck, and I bought the axles. Stuff came in, and they had zerks on the end of them. I took a hammer and knocked them right off. I'm an anti-zerk guy on a trailer.
Okay, makes sense. John's talking about the dates, air pressure, speed, road ratings. I'll tell you, when I am pulling my trailer, I'm very good about stopping. I mean, I'm just checking the hub for the temperature, but I get what you're saying, that once you feel it hot like that, it's already burning through the bearing. But maybe I hope I catch it before it, totally goes, I guess.
Yeah, and like you said, road speeds and stuff like that. That's the only thing. I don't want to offend anybody from California, but that's the only thing California has got right is their towing speeds with trailers. It's 55 mile an hour. I don't recommend, even me, all my experience pulling and stuff, I don't tow over 60 mile an hour. It's just you got a lot more stuff going on there that with these crazy people driving, and I've drove out there in Florida. Oh my God. It's
hey dude, we got all the crazies. all
Yeah.
together in one place. They all move here. Hey, that's a good point, though. I'm with you. I'd say it's 60. That's about it. I don't need to go get anywhere any faster than that.
No.
I'll safely stop if something is jumping off. So, yeah, I'm 100%. Of course, mine comes from seeing the accidents over the years.
Exactly. Yeah.
What happens when you're running too fast and you can't stop. Ken dropped the rrhitches there.com. You can always find him there. Well, listen, guys, we ride on at 5:59. We try to hold them to an hour. Hey, bro, I appreciate you coming. This was some excellent information. I'll be in touch with you. We'll talk offline. And I'm in no hurry to, like I said, the trailer is more in January, February. I'm working on some deadlines here. My buddy Ajax he's always calling me asking if I'm up to my deadlines, and we got a thing going about how I'll make them. It's going to be tough to make the December one. That's what I'm agree to that one. But the rest of them should be good to go. But that's why on the end, if you notice, I have a whole month free. And so stuff that can wait will wait till the end. But anyways, hey, I appreciate all y'all coming. Brother, I appreciate you being on here. And
anytime.
All right.
Anytime.
Okay. We'll have you back for those that come in late. We'll have him back on when we're talking about exactly what we're doing on the trailer. And I'll have a little better pictures, have the boat off there. But absolutely thanks to Tony, definitely the expert. And guys, with that, we're going to leave it. And we'll talk to y'all next week.